It's before whatever we think is before.
Okay.
So it's like the idea of reincarnation. It's based on incarnation, but if you're the unborn, there was never any incarnation. How can that be unless this is dreaming? Yeah. Because here there seems to be you weren't here, but there's a here, and now you are here, and then you're going to not be here. Yeah. But if I wasn't here, which is dreaming, and there's a here, which is dreaming, and then I'm not going to be here, which is dreaming, then we are of the unborn, yes? They used to have this thing in Hindu, they still have it. It was like, we're all children of a barren woman. You get the flavor of that?
Yeah, a woman that can't have any children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're all children of a barren woman. These are like sort of implying something. So, and no matter how sublime you may feel you are, feeling it as a person or a thing is after the before, yes? So after would be a world of time, and before is not of time. Now, the after cannot reach the before because the fact is there is no after. It isn't like there doesn't seem to be a before. What doesn't seem to be a before, what entertains that is that which is after, yeah? And if you're not that in this duality of things, then you must be that which is before, yeah? And then they will stink you with a triple negation, which is you're not that which is after nor that which is before. So you can never put your imaginary feet on firm ground. Yes. Yeah. So the understanding is you're never going to understand. That's pretty good, eh? Yeah. The liberation is from the need to be liberated. You're liberated from the idea that you need to be liberated. Yeah. That's not arguing with the you needs to be liberated or not, but you've lost interest in that need to be liberated because you're not that you. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to find what you already are. It's, yeah. Yeah. So if there's a we have a sense that seems to be before the sense of what we are, and that sense is trying to arrive at where we are, it can never arrive at where it already is. Yeah. Don't you see the futility of that? And seeing that futility is the joy in a way, where before the futility would just trigger more and harder and more surgical efforts and attempts. But finally, you hit a point where it's a hallelujah. Yeah, I'm never going to get it. Whoa, that's great. Yeah. So, what's the topic here? Who is there to surrender and to what, or something like that?
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yet in the dream of being after, surrender is quite valuable. Yeah. It's so valuable that a great master said there's only two possibilities. Either you you investigate the origin of the misery that seems to be engulfing you in some level, or you just admit you're outmatched and you surrender. Yeah. And let's call it to a higher power. Yeah. And then thy will is done, not thy will be done. but it already is done. Yeah. So now that way you come to peace again. You come to peace that there's not going to be any peace for you. Yeah. That's great. When I was younger, my older sister would sit on me on a chair, like sit, and I couldn't get up. Now I struggled, yeah, with the belief I could get up, but I hit a point every time that I realized I couldn't get up, and there would be a surrender. Yeah. And then she would lose interest in sitting on me. She only liked sitting on me when I tried not to be sat on. But when I surrendered and said, shit, she's sitting on me, I can't get out, she got up and did something else. So, when you see that you're not the mover, there's going to be still a whole lot of moving. Yeah. This is what happens when people first hear the idea that they're not the doer. One of the first things that comes up in the head, they're going to lay on a couch for 24 hours a day. No, the idea that you're not the doer isn't a sudden thing that comes over the doer. It's that you've never been the doer. Yeah. Yet doing a continue. As supposedly Lord Buddha said it, how can you verify really? But he said, there's events are happening, deeds are being done, but there's no individual doer thereof. Yeah, it's pretty nice. So there's no denying deeds are happening. There's no denying events are occurring, but it's just negating the idea that there's someone that's doing it. Yeah. Hmm. The dilemma, in a way, is the someone that's doing it thinks it's doing it now wants to be the someone that's not doing it. So it becomes a self trying to become a non-self. uh, and these are great, yeah. All the attempts to sort of still get it in a sublime way get thwarted, and uh that big thumb that was always sticking out, you could never see it when you had that fist of seeking. Now that there's a relaxation, you see the thumb sticking out. You see the mental state in all of its myopic glory. Yeah. And for you to see it, you must not be in it in a way. Yeah. So now that voiceless audience, that silent presence, uh, becomes deafening in a way. Yeah. And it doesn't reverberate to the action figure. It sort of reverberates through the action figure. Yes. Yeah. Shakes it up. Hmm. I mean, every time I come here, I'm confronted with the head has no idea what it's going to say because it's not going to say anything. Yeah. The only thing the head says is at 4:29 when I say hello to people. Then I just go mute and something either happens or it doesn't. How many times can you talk about nothing? It's really an amazing non-event. Somebody who was with us in Italy visited us there, told me without asking for it that there's 2,700 YouTubes or something like that, or more than that, I'd imagine. Yeah, that Paul Hedderman seems to have attended. Yeah, but I've never shown up. But he had the exact number. It's like thousands and thousands. I go, wow. No. So is anybody new here today? And oh, we have Tracy. Oh,
I trade.
all right,
Hello. I
nice.
know Eric. Is Eric here? I'm in Carlsbad.
Oh, you're in Carlsbad, and Eric has abandoned you.
Yeah,
You left
he's
in
not.
the you left in the cavern of Zen Bitch Slap. It's okay, Tracy.
I'll survive.
Yeah, you
Oh, maybe
just
not.
no, that's right. You never existed. That's how you'll survive. As something you'll survive as something that never existed. ah, you would, it's funny, it has an effect on the action figure. If you've noticed, the action figure wields or is a siphon or like a magnifying glass, where something, whenever there's interest directed through the action figure, it tends to mutate whatever it's entertaining, thinking or feeling or whatever. Yes? And that making mountains out of molehills has become, we've been lost in those mountainous ranges many, many times in a deep subjective experience of discomfort. Yeah. And when you lose interest, not in the mountains and the molehills, but the one who seems to be generating the mountains and the molehills, you just travel lighter through whatever is in store for you. Yeah. And really, if you really looked at it, what one of the best wishes would be for this temporary event called living here would be traveling lighter through it. Yeah. You give up the Pollyanna view early on that everything's going to go great for you. You find that no, everything may not go great, but you'll travel lighter through whatever does happen. Yes. And then after a while of watching that event produce effects, you come to a sense of real gratitude as this action figure because it has its limitations here. It has its ceiling. It has its pay scale. It has its uh but one of the nicest qualities it can express is gratitude, I feel, and honor and awe, AWE. I remember when I was younger, when I was very young, I heard about this guy called Sai Baba, this guy from India, who used to do miracles and stuff. He had a big afro, a very small dude. And I got this bug up my butt when I got sober uh, to go to India and go to where he was. So I did. And this guy, there was over like 10,000 people there, many, many people from all around the world. And they had a giant like covered pavilion outside, but it had a roof. And every day this guy would come out at like 7:30 in the morning and 5:30 in the afternoon and walk through the crowd. Didn't say anything. Yeah, just walk through the crowd. And I used to, there was some well-worn paths that you could sit at, so you'd be on the curb, so to speak, with the path he was taking. So I would be sitting on one side, and he'd be walking by, and he'd be looking at the people across the way. So all I could see was the back of his head, but I could see everyone else's faces. Yeah. And a human face in devotion is a very beautiful piece of art. Really is. It's gorgeous. And there they were, like, there was a gallery, a huge gallery, but what I was seeing was maybe 25 people with this black afro head in the middle there. And just the look of that, you don't see it when you get a car, a free car. You don't see that when you win a raffle or anything. Yeah, it's something else. And it wasn't, obviously, it was being focused at this guy, but it was what he represented. Yeah. Very, very cool. But to be devoted as if you're babies, even better in a sense, where there isn't a person there to be the devotee. There's just devotion. Yes. That one, like, carrier is playing a role and everyone else is playing a role, but there's no noun. There's just devotion. There's just appreciation and someone that can sort of swallow it and recirculate it. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Yeah. And in that high energetic state, I saw humbly the identification as devotees, which after that beautiful visage, they were bitching about they didn't see enough of him and everything else. And there was this whole thing of they wanted more, 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 more. And this is what happens a lot. Life would be a lot better with you not in it a lot of the time. Yeah. While you're in it, to have a sense that you're not in it is really cool. It's very good because you know, uh, there's that movie going on and someone's big head is blocking it, and then you realize it's your big head. Yes. So that's pretty good. So I feel non-duality uh, in this case was the last answer. Yeah. I heard it like in the 90s, I think. I got sober in 88, and the only uh, part of my adult life that looked good when I was in a spiritual group. So I tried to go back to spirituality, and I went into Buddhism, and I was in recovery. And then, but it was always me there. Yes. Yeah. And then I heard this message, and it was sort of, I didn't need any more wood on the fire. I just needed a light. Yeah. I just needed something to light it up. I had all the evidence necessary to be convinced of certain things, but I just wasn't getting the right match, so to speak. Non-duality played that role. And in time here, in answers and in problems and solutions and non-solutions, this has been the last answer. That's why we're having a satsang about it. Yeah. So the last answer to me in time takes away any need for any other answer concerning the topic. And this is what non-duality did. Now, I like certain other things. Certain other things were like yodels that produced avalanches. So some things in the Course in Miracles, something in the original Zen, I like a lot. But basically, this was the last answer. Because it disputes any need for any answer, because you are what you're looking for. Yeah? You are what you're looking for. And if you're not spending a second looking for what's looking, which is this, let's say, you have to realize you mustn't be that which is looking. In other words, the what's looking isn't the you that's looking for, in a way. Yeah? So finally, and try to stop looking. No, it doesn't work. If you try to stop looking, that's another form of looking. Yeah. But if you lose interest in being that which is looking, I feel that works. Yes. So when a lot of stuff gets presented of how selfish I am and shit like that, I don't vow to become unselfish. I see I'm just not that. Yeah. Yeah. So every reaction to the head's invitation to engage, there's a disarming response. Yeah. And it's the only thing that actually has worked. The other things of spirituality were just more subtle demands of me having to do shit and me having to meet new requirements and always pushing off the arrival because you can't arrive at where you already are. Yeah. So I hope this gets through. I hope the non-movement gets through by this movement called satsang. I hope. I don't really. It's yeah, whatever. I don't really I don't really care. Uh I mean, you become the song is worthy of being sung. It doesn't matter if it's heard or not. I mean, seriously. So thank you for giving this bird the opportunity to sing the song. Yeah. So, all right. Anyone has anything to say or questions or whatever? If not, Tracy or anyone here, we're not trying to get to Tracy. Tracy is the obstacle in a sense. We're trying to throw the message over Tracy's head because I see a whole lot of space over Tracy's head. Yeah. So when people tell my friends, I never understand anything this guy's saying, that's the point. We're not trying to make it so that you can understand. We want you to recognize you cannot understand. Yeah. And then hopefully you'll see the you that cannot understand is not you. Yeah. Yeah. So you're never going to get it is a hallelujah here. Where if you were at another group, never going to get it would be just demanding more surgical, strenuous effort because the hope would burn eternal that you would finally get it. We want to put out that light of hope completely. You're never going to get it. Yep. Hallelujah. Because if you stop looking or you lose interest that in that which cannot stop looking, the what's looking becomes obvious. Yes. But it doesn't become obvious through looking. It becomes obvious by losing interest in looking. Yes. And then you are what's looking. Yes. Not the you that's looking for. Yeah. All right. Mika from Finland looks like if we had knew someone, we'd send someone over there. I don't know if he's alive, but I just saw his eyes move. So he is. People are trying different postures to see if they can get it. Yeah. Mika's got a new one. Yes. He's listening to the whatever. Remember those movies where the guide would put his ear in the ground to hear something? You know what I mean? Good luck, Mika. Anyone else? Can you hear this here? Can you see everything moving? The algorithm takes away the noise. It calls noise, which is a beautiful chime being produced by the wind. Yeah, you don't hear it, eh? It's amazing. This is sort of like the message. It's playing loud right where we all are, And a lot of us don't seem to be hearing it because we're really listening to something else. And if you lose interest in that thing you're listening to, you'll hear the message. Yes? Yeah.
Hey, Paul, I didn't notice, but Morale has her hand up.
All right, good.
Um, I was just wondering if I don't know if you do, but I was wondering if you had any other accompanying sensation or anything that goes along with the giving up, losing interest, that differentiates it from, I don't know, crashing or.
Yes, yes, yeah. There'll be, your head will always make a mistake about it, but there's a certain point where there's an authority in all of us that knows. Yes,
Mhm.
yes. There's no one who has the authority, but there's an authority in this event that knows. Yeah. Yeah. Most giving up in the head is transactional. Yes. And if it doesn't look like the deal it was thinking it was getting isn't going to come true, it gets angry usually. Yeah. But this is not a transactional thing. Yeah. Yeah. And there's going to be, you may not trust a lot that you call you, but there's something that's very trusting right where you seem to be right now. Yeah. Yeah. And after a while, you hear it and you can pick that note out of all the chaotic scrambling. Yes. Yes. If not, you're going to depend on others. Yeah. And most masters are dead. Yeah. Yeah. So, like they always would say in the Hinduism, the Satguru. Yeah. So the guru is there to introduce you to the Satguru, and the Satguru is you. Yeah. So you need a guru to introduce yourself to what you are. Yeah. But there was never a dependency on the guru. It was meant to be leading you to that authority. Yeah. It's not in an organ of the body. Yes. But it's right there, right here in the space that we are. Yeah. Yeah. I have been convinced of a lot of things here. The biggest one was getting struck sober. Yeah. And then I was convinced with absolutely no argument that I was fucked and I was not managerial quality. Yeah. And once I had an event there where I was convinced, I started to recognize being convinced. Yes. And it happened to me many times at satsang where I remember one satsang I was there and I was convinced I was never going to ask another question. I just knew it. Yeah. And I haven't basically, and things like that. Yeah. So, yeah, the head will remember it's mechanical. The head will claim the being convinced and become unconvinced of it. So just have the eyes, and these are we're giving you a pair of glasses that we're not going to depend on how we perceive things. We're going to have a pre-perception of them, which is whatever can be perceived cannot be that which is perceiving. So those glasses where you want to give the attribute of our nature to an imaginary thing gets blocked for a while. And then you get used to seeing stuff. Yeah. Yeah. This is the message of non-duality. What stops you from attempting to arrive or losing interest in all the plans of arrival is on having never left. That's what convinces you, yes? I'm talking about what you're not. this can get convinced. I'm convinced of that because I was convinced like a lightning bolt that I was fucked, and I had been dragging being fucked for years into every day, trying to avoid, going to institution jails and death. Yeah. And then when I got whacked, that was a very convincing moment that altered this whole trajectory of the action figure. Yeah. So I came out of that. Uh, I didn't know I had the ability to be convinced. I didn't. I had no idea. Yeah. What it felt like, but I felt something and I said, oh, that feels like being convinced. I don't know. You could put a meat on front of me and said, this is the being convinced steak. I wouldn't know it until I ate it. Yeah. And so when I had the free sample, I was clear, oh, that's being convinced. Yes. No more defiance or argument in you, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. And it's all right not to be convinced because you're not that which is not convinced. The real convincing is about what you're not. Yes. So you don't waste any more time waiting for it to get convinced. You move on because it's not going to get convinced. It just isn't. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I saw heinous things. I was in a pitiful, incomprehensible, demoralizing conditions. And in a few hours, I was ready to go again. Yeah. I wasn't learning shit based on my experiences until I got whacked. And then I was able to learn from my past experiences. Yeah. At one point, I wasn't learning shit. I just kept doing the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. Yet that became very valuable when I finally saw the futility of it. Yeah. And then that futility was just not applied to drug and alcohol use. I saw it as spiritual seeking had a form of an addiction there. Yes. Things that I thought were the antidotes to the addictions were also a form of expressing for addiction. Yeah. Quite surprising. I thought the sanctity of a spiritual noble path would produce an immunity to being taken over, but it didn't. Yeah. There's tons of addictive behavior in spirituality. Complete tons of it. Yeah. Then I wasn't surprised at all. I had a few surprises, then I recognized, yes, the head is addictive in nature. It's agitated. Yeah. So it seeks relief, not from itself, but for itself. This is the bondage. This is the real addiction of the mental state. It wrestles with its nature of angst and agitation, but it blames it on circumstances. And it says, if I could only go somewhere better or do something better, different, or get someone better, then I would be able to enjoy peace of mind. But it can't. Yeah. Because it's agitated like a monkey running up and down a pole. Yeah. Be convinced of that. Yeah. There is peace of mind. It can enjoy it. It cannot enjoy peace of mind. It gets like restless, irritable. Yeah. Seriously. You go into a moment of utter peace, it gets very flipped out a couple of seconds into it. Yeah. It will meditate for 12 hours. But if it ever arrives at real peace, it thinks I must have left the fucking stove on or something. It will want to get up and then go back and then meditate 12 more hours because that reinforces the idea of being the meditator. Yeah. The identity, the freedom from identity is not interesting to it at all. Yeah. It flips out if it's not there. Yeah. Even the whole point is not for it to be there, but it uses that thing that's the whole point is not to be there to be there. Yes. People call me up and they are witnessing their own disappearance. They tell me I've disappeared for a few weeks. Who the hell is there to tell me that they've disappeared? Yes, you see? Get familiar with the nature of the head so you'll be able to recognize its mechanical nature. Yeah, instead of feeling guilty or pride based on what it does or doesn't do. Yeah. Look at what
Like,
they do in those rides down in like Disney World. There used to be a ride, and these are adults getting on the boat. There's a boat that they're going to go through waterways in Africa. And you should have been suspicious. There's like 10 steering wheels for the 10 people on the one boat. And then suddenly you're acting as if you're driving the boat and you make a turn, a left turn. You make a left turn, and then the hippopotamus comes and you fall, oh, I shouldn't have made that turn. This is an adult person, yeah, yet falls for it in a second, yeah, that it's in control, even though the boat is computerized and is going to make a left no matter what any of you doing with the steering wheel. It's going to the hippopotamus. Yeah. Yet you have a stubborn story that you're the driver, don't you? This is programmed, mechanical. Yeah. Why it seems so real? Because the system is reacting to it. And of course, to the system, the products of the system must be real. Yeah. But what you're listening to verify the truth and reality of something is part of the bogusness. Yeah. The idea of self that you're talking about it as a self. You're bound when you were running around out there, yeah, you were not objectified at all. You had no idea what you were doing. Then you suddenly learn everything that you were doing. And now that subjective self is an objective self. And now you're playing policeman with the objective self, and you're trying to become a pious, do everything by the book, police narrative oriented self. Yes. You don't see that. You just see the objective self. But what's telling you about you is the you. Yeah. Spirit isn't telling you shit about you. Yeah. It's standing in and of its own nature, which is not of you. Yeah. It doesn't have to say anything. Yeah. The spirit is not chanting, I'm not a body. It's very clear it's not a body. It's only the body identification that will chant it's not a body to try to get out of some of the pains and sorrows produced by being a body. Yeah. So, yeah, that which can't be convinced is not convinced that you can be convinced. Exactly. Yes, do you see it? Non-duality is not two. There's the objectified self and there's the subjectified self. Yeah. At one point, there was no objectified self. It was just you. And then you become self-aware, maybe because shit hit the fan and you had to look at what you were doing and everything. And then maybe you go to a psychologist and they give you an objectified idea of self. And what's claiming to hear that is a subjectified sense of self. Yeah. This is why this is not get rid of one, it's not two. Yeah. We've tried to get rid of one, haven't we? A lot of people who come out of addiction try to be really good because they believe they were really bad for a long time and they want to even the fucking game board. So now they're really good. Yes. This isn't that. Yeah. What's going over the idea that could I be convinced is that which cannot be convinced. Yeah. And so it says it's incredibly difficult for me not you, but for this idea of me to be convinced, and then you live by that. And now you doubt fucking everything to the point where you have to rely on someone else, and then that teacher that you rely on does something that seems to be out of bounds, and you throw the message out with the messenger. Yeah? And you go back to what you truly rely on, which is the unreliable head. This is the, can you imagine? Let's say you had a dead master, everything, adore the person, yes? You read about him every day, you do everything. And then suddenly he appears to you and tells you you need do nothing. Yeah? And then he disappears. I bet you in 15 minutes you're doing something. Because the real master shows up, which is the head, and tells you, I got to get down to business. Yet the master said, you need do nothing. Yeah? Where's the faith there? Is it in the master that you said you had so much faith in, or in the head? A lot of times our troubles are of our own making. And then you finally see that it's not of your own making. Yeah. Your troubles are misspent faith. Yes. Faith being directed by something that has no ability to truly direct it in a harmonious, balanced manner. Yes. So now you fumble, I'll never be convinced. And you're convinced of that. Yeah. Isn't that insane? You're convinced that you're never going to be convinced. Yeah. All right.
When you said the phrase peace of mind, which is something that, I've heard a million times in my life, when you started talking this last bit, that phrase just seems so nonsensical. Like there's no such thing, peace of mind. Like,
well, actually, it is in a way, because the way they're talking about mind is the big M, not the mental processes.
okay.
So in the big M, there is peace, and it's of the nature of mind, the big M mind. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The little M mind is chaotic, and it makes angst out of peace of mind because there's no peace in the head. Yes.
Yeah. And I think, and of course, what you're saying, I think when lay people talk about like, oh, I need some peace of mind, I need to calm down, I need to make this peaceful here, and that just now seems so nonsensical to me. Like they're trying to say, I think, what you're saying, like peace as my mind, and really we do better to get peace from this mind.
Yes. And a lot of times you're just wanting the body to chill out, which is easy to do. Take some deep breaths. Yeah. Move your shoulders up and down. The body can react very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes. But we're calling us the body most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. The body is tired, so we're tired. Yes. The body is hungry, so we're hungry. Yeah. Yes. Do you see that everything, almost every position we find ourselves in, is pictured as a body position? And we're not? Yeah. This is the greatness of it. The greatness is seeing what you're not in all its glory, because it will convince you you're not that. Yes? Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
No, there are no other hands up right now, Paul.
Well, maybe we'll start saying goodbye. That usually gets someone to share. All right, Lori, nice to see you again in Texas. Yes. Michael Stacy, as always, thank you for all the support. Everyone here, Judy Lovins, everybody. Yeah, without you guys, we wouldn't have these things.
Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, Jacob, thank you for all the support. Susan Harris, she's imprisoned in Cape Cod. We have Mia on her iPhone 10. We got Mika, he's moving. So yeah, he's turning over. Yeah, that side's done. He's turning over. James Olson, nice to see you. Keith's phone. Nice to see you, Keith. Keep your eye on the road there. Judy Lovins, as always. Tracy Showman, nice to meet you, Tracy. You put on some glasses. They're not going to help. Fletch, always a pleasure. Tommy, David Bitterman, my man outside of Detroit. Lindy, we're in the universe now. That's nice. Ben, Annette W, David, and I don't know who that is. Nathan. I got Nath. Oh, it's David and Natalie. Oh, nice, nice. We got a phone number. Laurie. All right. Well, if everything, I think it was nice, short and sweet, eh? Yeah. Yes. And hey, listen, Tracy, I liked it because Eric dropped you in Zen bitch slapping. Yeah.
Tom and Gail.
What?
Tom and Gail.
Oh, Tom and Gail.
I saw you in Temecula in February of this year.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I said I went to the satsang and people were like, how was it? I was like, um, he just pulled the rug out from under the me.
Oh, wow, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. Yes.
You
Yeah.
gave me nothing. You left me with nothing. So
Oh,
that
great, great. Well, that's fantastic. Well, I guarantee that's what you're gonna get, honey. Nothing. So yeah, if you're waiting to get something, we can put that to rest right now.
right.
Yes. Nothing is on the menu.
Well, you deliver.
What?
You deliver what you promise.
Yeah, that's right. Sure. Nice to meet you, Tracy, again. Yes.
Thank
Hey,
you.
so yeah, everyone, thank you today. We're here and the regular schedule is going to go on, I think, for a little while. Hey, thank you so much again for this. Yeah, just to be able to sit with everybody and say hello. Yeah, remember that loving presence that expresses itself through our group conscience. Yeah, not bad. All right, guys. Thank you. I'll see you soon.